Welcome, everyone. My name is Padmini Nidumolu, and I'm the co-founder of Lean in Agile, a platform that has been there since 2018, a platform built for women to celebrate women across the world, and also to enable them to support each other, to offer to each other and seek from each other in a psychologically safe space. And it is also about collaborating within our group and bringing organizations and conferences and other spaces to recognize that including women is important. Hence, we have something called Women Inclusion Pledge. Also, as part of Lean and Agile, we have launched an initiative called LIA100. This is an effort to recognize and celebrate 100 women across the world, bring their journeys and stories to you all with an intention that they might inspire you, they might motivate you to get out of your comfort zones and look outside your lanes. So today we have with us from the very beautiful France, Paris area, Corinne Lemercier. Hi, Corinne. How are you?
Hi, Pammy. I'm very good, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Corinne. I will introduce you very briefly and then we can get into conversation. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much for
So,
that.
sure. Um, our guest today, Corinne, supports organizations and teams in their transformations into adaptation to change and innovation in global and uncertain contexts. The VUCA world that we are living in today. She starts with why, and she uses different lenses to look at the organizations and their problems and challenges and fosters collaborative questioning of the status quo in alignment with business objectives. She works with teams at all levels to make change happen with sustainability and resiliency in mind. Now, that's the right way to coach. Happy to have you here again, Corinne. So, my first question would be, I know it is not a huge community of Agilists in France. I think, it caught up a little bit later, probably, than countries like the US. Tell us how you got introduced to the world of Agile.
First time I had the opportunity, I was very lucky. I had the opportunity to be sent to an agile conference in the United States. And so it all started there because we were uh, starting changing the way we were working, and it was about really moving on to what we call at that time featured teams. And I was part of the what we call methodology teams in our company, and we decided to definitely adopt agile. So this was my first really first contact with agile. I had read books before. I knew about scrum, I knew about things, but with the agile community and people really working in agile, and great people within the community, that was really my first experience.
That's fantastic. And when you started working in Agile, what were some of your first observations when you worked with organizations? Because I'm sure they were all waterfall, when you started to coach, or at least semi waterfall. How did you think about that? What were your observations?
Yes, because at that time, so we were actually, I said I and we, okay, all together, because I was really working with teams that were experimenting agile. And even if we had read books, we had no experience of it really working in agile. And you, as you know, you have to learn it by doing it. And so very great memories. We used to have stand-ups with all the project teams, which could be a lot of people. They were standing up, but not for 15 minutes, for more than an hour, and because that was the way it was called a stand up. and but we learned from it very quickly because people standing 1 hour, it's a bit long, and especially young developers. So we had pretty a quick feedback on that, and we learn from it. But it's like when I think of it today, but it's a long time ago. It makes me smile, but and at the same time, that's the way you learn things, right? So we were trying to really do our best, and that was really at the very beginning, because we were still do not only waterfall, but also it was really project management, right? But we were some spirit of agility in it, so that's how it all started.
Right, right. And how did you progress in your journey through, really impacting the stand-ups to all the way impacting the organization at large?
So we definitely started to look at different ways of forgetting about waterfalls and focusing on feature teams, so that we would be able to deliver features quicker. So that was the first step, and then we learned about feature teams versus component teams, and because we had to really because we needed some of them, some component teams, and the pros and cons of the both types of teams. So it was really step by step. Then we decided to that there was one team here, one other team here. We were very much focusing on Scrum altogether. We also developed our own Jira. It was our Scrum at NDS. That was the company I was working with at that time. Um, and so we learned also from that, because I did market study before we decided to develop this application, and at the same time, so we had a wonderful time having developing our application in an agile mode, and at the same time, the tools in the market were actually also very good, so we could have just used those, just like Jira. So we went on to use Jira afterwards. So we had those different steps, and then moving forward, we learned from it as well, and we had the opportunity to really have this wonderful environment that I learned a lot from. When we were when we joined Cisco, and Cisco decided for us to go agile, so at a broader scale. And so there were lots of investment that were made for everybody to learn about that. I grew as a coach. I grew as an agile coach. I was part of a global transformation team. That's where we work together with external consultant. I work with them, learn from them. I had a mentor that I say hello to him right now, because he's also very well known in the European and even further agile community, Olaf Levitz. And so we were working daily together on the transformation. I learned a lot through the complexity, using the complexity theories and the Kinevian framework, and also the which is, as you know, sense making framework. And we use a different set of tools around this sense making framework, the sense maker tool. So also we, as a coach, as an agile coach at that time, so now several years ago, uh, to help people learn about agile, right? Get the agile mindset, because it's really about this mindset which is so difficult for to uh, to embrace at some point, and also to understand some basics about agility. So with colleagues of mine, we had a wall, a physical wall at that time, and we use cartoons so that people could learn from different situations, and and could just have a look and have fun together and learn about the basics of agility. So that's what. Then we started scaling agile using safe for several teams here and there. Then so that was mostly, and I had the opportunity to work with different teams from different countries. I worked from Israel with Israel teams on a very important program at that time. So we had teams in Israel, teams in the US, teams in France, teams some of them in the UK and in India. So all to all together. So we had this way of scaling. So we learned a lot from it, because that time it was really we we had up to 46 teams at that time, which is a lot. Then we gather together those teams so that they would come together as a train. We wanted them to run just like a startup. So it was an ambitious program, and what was really great about it, so it's because after that, so some of the people were really very enjoyed working in Agile, but other people it was a bit more, it was more difficult for them. And some years later, I've met some of my former colleagues, and they've moved to other companies, and they've brought agility within those companies. So as you mentioned at the very beginning, so I live in Paris, I'm French, and I worked on for an American company, Cisco, which really, and before that for NDS, but these are international companies, not French, and they decided to go agile very early, and then I moved on to more in the French area, where transformation started after, and the agile community started to grow after as well, connecting to the European community and abroad. But I've really had this global overview from the very beginning, because, as I mentioned, that was
Yeah.
really a wonderful trip for myself, and the feedback I got from my former colleagues really was great for me to hear them talk about agility, the way they talk about it, and this agile transformation journey, because now they've landed in other countries, not countries, but companies. Uh, so they are the ones that promote agile, the agile way of working. So
Yeah, that's
that's
an
really
incredible
great.
journey right there. It takes so much and consideration of so many elements along the way to kind of have that consistent progress in the journey. It's not an overnight, flip of the switch kind of a thing. That actually brings me to the next point, which is, through your journey, Corinne, what kind of support did you really gather in terms of mentoring or coaching or the community or the network? Because that is something that women mostly struggle with, to form that support structure, around them to kind of move forward. Can you share a little bit about how did you do that, and what was the support like?
So I was very lucky, because, as I mentioned, I had a mentor, uh, which was Olaf Levitz, which was who was really working with me with as within the agile transformation within Cisco. And so we work together also with other external consultants. So Esther Derby, Diana Larson, Rebecca Broke, Jean Tabaka. I don't know if you know her, but okay. So those women were absolutely, they are still, because, as you know, for those of you who don't know, but Jean Tabaka died some years ago, and but those women
Can
were.
I quickly mention something about in honor of Jean Tobacco, because you mentioned her? I just wanted to mention we honor Jean Tobacco as one of the LIA 100 women, and we actually requested few of her colleagues and friends to talk about her and share their experiences about her. So it's published on YouTube on Lean and Agile platform in the honor of Jean Tobacco. So I just wanted to mention that in that context. Thank you for mentioning her.
Thank you for that. And my souvenir uh, is really about because we've had a. I was welcoming her in Paris because she had been asked to provide us with some courses about collaboration tools. So I was welcoming her, and we were preparing for this course. And we've had a wonderful conversation. I remember that because she had started learning French, and she wanted to talk French with me.
Wow. Right.
And so she asked me, so I was okay, no problem. I can speak French. And what I recall now that we are talking about that is that when I start speaking French, I speak very fast and blah blah blah, and I keep talking, talking, talking. And then she was happy, and at the same time, she told me that she was really, really dead after having this conversation in French with me, because as you know, talking in another language, it might be when you don't talk the language every day, it might be a bit tiring at some point.
Right.
And I had the same experience with. Some other American women. So I was mentioning Esther Derby, Diana Larson. So I had the opportunity also to welcome them in Paris, and we had workshop with them. So I learned a lot from them. I learned, and I'm really grateful for everything that they did. I mean, with us, and especially with me. So I was very lucky.
So I think that is fantastic, right? And I think not every woman is lucky in that way, but I think the takeaway from this conversation is that you always look out for a mentor or a coach, and we'll be surprised how many times we get a yes to our request for folks to be a mentor. Just yesterday, I had this experience. I was chatting with a very accomplished woman who I was chatting with, and I thought she could be a great mentor for me. And I was a little bit apprehensive to ask, but I said, I'm not, what am I losing? I asked her, and she was so thrilled that she had the opportunity to mentor, and she said yes. It's a big yes. So I think that's the takeaway from this conversation, that seek out for mentors, and the journey becomes so much more smoother and richer, I guess. Yeah. So that's great.
Yes.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
No, and also because uh, I've I've had also I'm thinking of course, because I had someone absolutely the one person who made all this happen is Ken Power, who was also, I mean, who was working for Cisco. And so it was really someone, you just had to look at him, look at his posture as a coach. So I was part of his team. So, and he is the one who makes all this, what I described just before, happen, all
Mm,
those connections.
okay.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Very happy for you. And probably a wrapping question would be, what kind of community are you envisioning in France, especially for women, to kind of, accelerate that gender diversity, right? And what does it really take to build that kind of community?
I love your question, I will tell you why. Because I've joined BNP Paribas for 2 years now, and uh, so I started working within a team where there are a majority of women, and now I'm connecting because I'm part of the international retail banking and connecting to the different countries I work with, and also there are people from the agile transformation as agile transformation leaders or coaches as well, which are also women. And so for now, we are just working together, but and building our network, but not necessarily a network of women. But you give me a very good idea because this is something definitely we can do at least within BNP Paribas and then connect BNP Paribas because, as I mentioned before, when we talk together, France is a small place, and we can connect from one and company for another, and then each of us, just like me, I can connect my friends and colleagues to other companies around Europe as well. That's what I do, but I do it uh, occasionally or when there's an opportunity for connecting people. Oh, I think you should meet this person or you should connect to this person. But something broader, um, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Truly inspiring, Corinne. As we wrap up, do you have, a brief message or, an inspiring word that you hold on to kind of keep you driving?
Um, r- right now, it's really um, it's
Hmm.
share.
Yeah, yeah. And there is so much to think and reflect on that one word. And I think the current situation that we are kind of forced into, right? This change is, pandemic is kind of forced upon us, and sharing is just such a valuable, you know, um, word and theme that we all can kind of keep front and center of everything that we do. Thank you so much, Corinne. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with everything that you're doing. And we hope that you'll be instrumental in accelerating and building even more stronger community in France.
Thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much. Thank you.